You're listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Rough roads ahead. For some reason, my headphones just don't seem to be cutting through the mix. I have to poke them into my ears. I usually don't do that. It's actually not healthy to wear earbuds. You should actually wear headphones that kind of sit away from your ear and let the airflow move through your ears while you're listening. May not be the exact same thing, but it's probably healthier. Right. Less wax buildup. So again, there it is. It's evidence. It's not normal. A lot of apartments are $200 higher in 6 months. And there was an obvious entity, whether it's law enforcement, private sector, whatever it is, blocking me from moving in so they could raise the prices, and now there's a couple open. Now, it's not natural. And anybody that's kept their prices where they should be, or somewhere near there, they're sold out for months. And it's not free enterprise. Here's an example. If, again, a lot of this is shadow, but this is what's really happening. Again, spycraft they're using to engage in organized crime and racketeering. They're trying to get around the criminal conspiracy laws and similar laws. If 5 people sit down and raise the price, it's illegal. Even if it supports the price. But of course, it doesn't support the price because you've moved people out who can't afford to live in Johnson County. Thank you, Larry. One of the things they'll also do is they'll take apartments offline for a season. And that boosts the price up because there's no apartments. Something happened where they're starting to get a little nervous. Not that they're not raising the prices, they seem to be doing something with the apartments. They're more available. And no, the method they were using definitely mirrored trying to disturb my move-in, but I'm not, like I said, it's not always about me, but I'm one of the victims. No, they're not protecting the community. What's going on is you have spies. Those people that are doing it to catch a pedophile, some of them are working for narcotics distributors and sex traffickers. So they're pointing the finger at the person that they victimize. They actually alter a person. They're spending 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years in some cases. When you see a 70-year-old pedophile that never offended before, they were in that guy's or gal's life for 40 years. No, it's not the same life that you're living, all of you. And no, you would probably crush in a year. You'd be like Jonathan Luna, be dead. You'd be like Dudley, Deputy Director of the Marshal Service, Dudley. You'd be dead, all of you. You'd be like Bustamante. You'd be dead. So don't tell me you'd last a lifetime and you've had it done to you, because that's the fake. That's the fraud. What's been done to you was something else. And actually, they recruited you using it. Because now you're a superior person. You passed the test. just like every other drug dealer and every other sex trafficker in the United States. That's part of the thing versus being the scam fraud, the one they arrest. The same thing's going on in Mexico. That's where it came from. Actually, I couldn't say it's where it came from because it was here in the 90s, but it became big when the Mexicans came in with the billions from the drugs. So again, it's a criminal enterprise. The Mexicans are up here and they go, oh, hey, you got money, right? We got a deal for you. So what they want me to do, one of the blocks, one of the metaphysical and psychological blocks, is not to speak about sex trafficking because that's their ace in the hole. Well, that's drug dealing, but this is pedophilia and sex trafficking. I don't think you can get into sex trafficking and pedophile investigations unless you accept that somebody gets to do that. That there's a group of people that are going to get to do it, and you're just going to be over here, and you're going to rescue the children over here, and you're still helping children. I mean, it's better than nothing, right? And you have a family you have to raise. Now, it's real. But in reality, what does it become? They are pedophilia. They are sex trafficking. And they fight anything that stops it. At least in their organization. Well, we're not part of that. We do what we're told. That's all there is to it. That's all. This is what it's called, doing what we're told. It's not criminal enterprise. It's not organized crime. We're doing what we're told. In fact, some of us are heroes more. I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody say anything. Nobody. The person that tells you not to say anything, that's the first person to make a deal. The person that tells you not to say anything in a criminal enterprise is the first person to make the deal. Guaranteed. You're a criminal enterprise, all of you. You've went over to the dark side. You're a criminal. Whoa, Biden, a rapist. Yeah, Trump, and all those people you actually work for. Because he has people that come out in your community and do this and set it up with the crooked cops. But it isn't only Trump. It does include Democrats. Because the politics is another one of their scams. I've been attacked for being too conservative, and I've been attacked for being too liberal at the same time, and I'm not political. They just focus people on me and pay them to do it. There's been murder contracts on me for decades, but because people that are running federal agencies are part of it, they won't do anything. But look at the Earth. Or I wouldn't call this Earth. Look at this piece of shit planet. It's degrading. It's falling apart. I got money. It's going to last the rest of my life. Fine, then you'll move off to hell. Oh, but I saved the children. See? They're psycho. Knowing they're part of a corrupt entity. This is really what's being done in the secret. This is what the Bible was speaking about. What they'll say is like somebody watching porn or doing heroin in their apartment and nobody knows that they're doing it. Those are the people going, no, God doesn't care about victims of your criminal enterprises, of your spycraft forcing and spycraft torturing and spycraft sexualization, narcotization, alcoholization, or alcoholizing, narcoticizing, and sexualizing. They're not who God's looking for. It's all of you. Again, that's why the Bible says not to speak about people as being respecters of persons. In fact, that plate right here on this, what is this thing called? I don't know who 368 is, 368 is, but that's something to end me, completion. And there are identifiers that identify me. Tell them to kill me. Whoever it came from. That vehicle has been suspect ever since it's been here. Didn't even look at the plate. That E3 is still here. Public hazard, public nuisance vehicle. I'll bring it up again today. I'm all about immigration and helping immigrants, within reason. But what they're doing is they're selecting certain individuals within that community to be part of the criminal enterprise that I speak about. And they're getting the American citizen's life because the American citizen will not commit that crime. Now, it's not the replacement theory. Oh, yeah, it is, but it is. No, it's not. Do you notice I speak about something and they put it out there in an offensive manner in an offensive organization? So what does that tell you about those Nazi organizations? Not what Laura Loomer is going to tell you, because she's part of the thing and makes money off of it. She's a fake. She's a fraud. She may even be an agent of Israel. Because that's what's really going on here. They buy in through people like Laura Loomer and Trump, and then they take our lives and give it to them. Because they'll be criminal like the others. Russians most likely made those Nazis. I mean, I knew they were making Nazis, but at this point, now they support Biden. What does that tell you? No, they're just ignorant people. And they were manipulated by a spy somewhere. Now, the spy only has to manipulate a certain number of charismatic people, prop them up, put them online, and throw them into everybody's email box and everybody's news feed and ad feed. And then they'll become famous. Or within their group of people, within their cult. We're saving this, we're saving that. No, you're not. You can't even fix the economy. You're getting rich. When they go, hey, we're fixing the weather, climate, yay. Just say, no. Just say you're getting rich. Okay, go ahead. Everybody's got a scam. Say you're getting rich. Just go, we're getting rich. You're getting rich. That's why they're so climate-minded. I made billions off of climate. Elon Musk did. So what's happened with Elon Musk is he's fighting the deep state that gave him money because he believes his deep state's bigger. It's true. They propped Musk up. He was their man. But one day he said, well, I'm big enough to fight it now. And he talks about Jews. Well, Jews got money, man. You rule. Elon Musk rules with money. Gates rules with money. Now, Gates is probably the least of the rulers with money. Now, his people were sons of guns. That's what I believe happened. Right. The organization, Gates probably didn't know his organization was doing as much corrupt. I didn't know it was either. I didn't know what was happening to us. Right. It was Gates. It was Oracle. They were criminal enterprises at a certain point, but I don't believe, Bill Gates may be a wacko in certain ways, but I don't believe he's criminal enterprise type of person. Right. Well, if somebody's a true believer in something and they're moving in a certain direction, that's different than being a criminal enterprise. See, that's where Trump's trying to make the appearance that he's a true believer, and that's all it was. It's not a true believer. He knew it was criminal enterprise, and he's a criminal. So within all, and one of the links is within all these organizations, one of the links is corrupt law enforcement. You won't get a job working for Microsoft Security or a job, and Gates never knew that unless you're corrupt. Now people with the morals of Google, with the morals of the Microsoft orgies and narcotics use, are now running the world. I told you shit like that for years. And all of a sudden now they show you when Bob dies, they put out a little bit of the truth. Not to disrespect Bob, he's in a system he's a product of his system. But the closer they get to, in other words, the white collar murder, white collar this, white collar. So everything they do is white collar because they have to be techies, right? But the further they come out of that stance, which will, it'll degrade, just like George Floyd in Chauvin. Chauvin was a product of his system, and he eventually came out and committed murder with knowledge. He murdered that guy. Did he know he was going to die? He really didn't care. He just wanted to harm him. But he knew there was a possibility he would die. Because he did deep state psychological work the whole time he was in the police department. And it causes a person to see another person as not having value. Whoever it is. Again, narcissists, they'll go, well, but this person over here is amazing. Well, a narcissist will be amazing over here just so they can cover the murder over there. My fingers are like changing weather, Body gets sticky. Trying to free my fingers up. It's a little cool. I mean, once the weather changes, it'll go away. But body readjusts to weather changes. Like, lubricates itself. Lubricates itself. Body lubrication. So what we knew was going on, where organized crime extorts people by causing them to fall. If you look in the New York Daily Record on YouTube, you will see a reporter report about a private investigator, which I had a connection with. It's so weird. Shand or whatever his name, Shan, whatever his name is, I forget it is. Somebody in York County. But he would hire prostitutes and other people, and they would try to get executives to fall or something like that, and then they would extort them or put them out if they wouldn't listen. Right. Like expose the so that's going on everywhere. It's going on from law enforcement and all sorts of places. But what you're doing is you're causing somebody to fall. It's not a sting operation, all of you. There's a lead up to it. It's a whole change of the person's life and an isolation. And a lot of you know what's going on, so don't try to act like you don't, because you're all part of it. If they tell you to isolate your neighbor, you do it, and then you get a bigger house. So again, this is what the planet really is. But to tell you, you're part of the blue team, the partners in crime. So again, criminal enterprise took over law enforcement the same as it did in Mexico. It could have been Russians and Chinese. They don't care. Well, AOC may have done what the thing told her to do, and then she became a congresswoman, or maybe after she became a congresswoman. They can make an influencer, they can make a congressman or congresswoman. But first they test you. Will you do what they tell you to do? No, it isn't a system that checks on itself and checks on people. That's one of the frauds. That's what they put in people's heads for the delusion. Well, something has to make sure that everybody stays honest. We were just fishing for criminals, and more just popped up. Nobody ever put us into him. I don't know what he's talking about. Meanwhile, criminals run around laughing all day because they're paying that person to go after more, including a federal agent, including a police officer, including a doctor, a neighbor, a foreigner being rewarded with citizenship early. Because they did what it said. Right, now we want you here now. This is the best of the best, the creme de la creme that they want to come. Trump's the same thing, man. They don't do what Trump says. They want them. He wants them not to get citizenship. You do what Trump says, you get citizenship. But there are others. Is Biden that deep in? I don't think so. He's just massively moving people here, but his people are part of something like that. There's a bunch of CIA people he's affiliated with, a bunch of FBI. They're part of that machine. Homeland Security, they're all out there. Local police. But all the local police that support Trump, they're part of that thing. That's what it is. But Trump's thing again. And what Elon's doing, Elon's getting closer to Trump's thing. They probably have two separate things, but they're moving in similar directions. Again, I told you about alliances of the deep state. And then the battles of the deep state against one another. It's not politics, all of you. It's criminal enterprise. They run alongside politics because it sounds good, right? It's a good cover story. A quorum of mob bosses. The only reason your kids are on narcotics is because they all sold out. Those are their stories about how it's actually happening. But you see, what was that guy's name doing it? Kurtzenstein or whatever it is. One of those talking heads on influence, I guess, on Twitter. All of a sudden, well, this Tarrio was sentenced and he's not a rapist. Rapists are being let go. Why is a rapist being let go somewhere? Because he's part of the same thing that guy's part of. And gives him that fuel to feed the fire. But yet there's innocent people walking around today that were investigated for 10 years with the Gilgo, or whatever it was, 8 years with the Gilgo Beach case, or even 10 years, I guess, with the Gilgo Beach case, that were absolutely innocent. And they were extorted, harassed, and they were operated to be sexual criminals, including that chief. But yet there's people living in $1 million houses on Long Island just pulling the strings all day, telling you what's actually happening. Like now, oh, it looks like it's going to be the chief. We believe these two guys were together. They may have even had sex together. And what's the chief doing? Oh, shit, I better not say anything. I better not say anything. Bullshit, say everything. Tell everybody they were around you. Tell them that they altered you. Oh, he says that he was altered. That means he did the same thing they did. See, that's how it works. But it doesn't work at all because God's destroying the planet. It's only a matter of time. Anyway, most of you will be dead before that. Like you say, well, I got plenty of money for the rest of my life. I don't know what he's talking about. You're going to hell, all of you. Hell is a byproduct of what you all do on this planet. Because you know it's not true what you're all saying. And if what you all were saying actually effectuated honestly, you'd all be in hell. You'd all be broke. There is an earth hell. They call it, or this planet hell. I don't want to call it Earth. Get that name out of here. It's not Earth. Well, when it wants to act like Earth, maybe we'll call it Earth. But I think physically this is not Earth. This is not the Earth created in the Bible along with the garden. That's some other place. And some people could call that spiritual Earth. And I think I have. Where he says he has. See, he secretly has money. He's lying. And even if he secretly does have money, he has enough. There's people worse off, right? There's a next generation, right? We got to take care of the next generation. There's people worse off, so he shouldn't have any more than he has, even though we destroy everything he has. It's all a contract. Fuck the next generation. Hope it's gone. Planet gone. Doesn't need to be here. And if I have enough, then what I have is what you should have. We'll decrease all the incomes down to what I have. If you haven't figured out, we're making our move to decrease your money again. Because you didn't learn anything last time. It takes a year, 2, 3, maybe. Somewhere in there, it'll be gone. Some of you will just jump out the window or rob a bank or do whatever it is you need to do to have money because it doesn't matter, right? They're even more bold than they were last time. Don't listen to them. The cops won't arrest you, but God will. God will. And as God takes law enforcement back over, there might be some arrests in there. Oh, so he's going to arrest gay people. No, some of those people are gay people. See, it's a scam. Right. The church scam's another scam. And they have a donation scam. All the religions have donation scams. You have religious freedom, but you're a crook, all of you. You're a grifter. that erases that. See, it's the same thing with political freedom. Like, I was the president, therefore this all cannot be prosecuted. Bullshit. Criminal acts are not covered by immunity. Real criminal acts. Like, if you do something in the White House that's legitimate and a state tries to prosecute you, they can't do it. The feds try to prosecute, they can't do it. That's not legitimate. Again, the beginning it was legitimate, but if your criminal conspiracy moves and what you're saying and what you're doing fits the description of a criminal conspiracy, here's an example. For a criminal conspiracy, again, racketeering is a form of criminal conspiracy. Right? And there's other laws that are similar. You make an agreement in the White House to do something. And as you go forward, it is discovered, see, they're trying to stop me from speaking. It is discovered that it's a criminal conspiracy. All of that's a criminal conspiracy. It's not covered. I think the judge is even wrong about a couple acts or one act being covered. Because if it's part and parcel of the criminal conspiracy, then it's not covered. The federal government does not cover criminal conspiracies as part of somebody's job, no matter what it is. It's ancient law. It's logic. You don't get to run a mafia organization from the White House and say, well, I'm a president, and I worked for, and then the lieutenants and the capos worked for the president. The key is you have to prove that it's not. And I don't think the Supreme Court will support the idea that it's not a part of the crime. But they might. I mean, I didn't look at the complete evidence. There could be an act in there that they would rule out. But it's not going to, it doesn't cover over criminal conspiracy. Well, the idea of taking it, and then there's the question of the idea of taking it federal, but if there's nobody to prosecute it federally, can it go federal? Or in other words, if the Justice Department is not part and parcel of the idea of bringing it federally, can it be brought federally? I think there's something there. But if it's a legitimate criminal conspiracy, how do you do that? You can't. What you're actually doing is saying you're free, which in itself would be some sort of criminal act, quite possibly. Or I guess malfeasance, impeachment, something like that. Well, again, what's happening, as I've explained it for years, is they're developing systems to skirt the criminal conspiracies and RICO using spycraft. They're not really doing that, but again, the investigations only go so far. So what you're seeing with Meadows is an extension of that. Well, it's just kind of like doesn't really exist. In other words, if somebody was actually doing their job, it'd be a no-brainer. He's not doing his job. He's part of a larger criminal conspiracy, which makes doing his job corrupt. In other words, if you go to work, and let's do something mundane, and you're on the turnpike and you take money. You're the cashier. You're a turnpike cashier or whatever they call it. Attendant, a turnpike attendant. And part of your criminal conspiracy is to harass somebody. And you do something to the computer so that person can't pay with their credit card. And that person has to pay with cash, and they don't have cash, and whatever it is. You just committed a crime. It's not part of your job. It's part of a criminal conspiracy. And you call a cop and you get that person harassed. So again, I will tell you there's many, and I've said it before, there's many-fold harassment. Sometimes it's 5 witnesses that call a cop and say something. But one of the keys is if they don't interview the victim of the false statements, then the cops are probably in on it because then they can use the false statements forever. I'm going to heal this person. It looks like a person of color. The spirit is telling me to go this way. Wow. Yeah, I just healed somebody. Oh, I think he's starting to work here. Or something. I don't know what it is, actually. Something don't look right. Is everything okay? All right, everything okay? Okay. I was like, what's going on? Okay, had to heal something over here. Regular. And somebody made somebody scared or something, but I had to heal this person for some reason. I don't know why. I had to heal her. She might be starting to work here, or she might leave here. I don't know what it is. She's a person of color, so it's a person of color curse. So again, some curses are because somebody's a person of color and there's no other reason, even if the cursor says it's because of that reason. Now, again, if I curse you, I don't curse you. I send it to God, and then God can handle it. If God lets you live, then God lets you live. If God can't take you, God had told me when I woke up, one of the early things, this is a lot, like, this is the imprinting of me waking up. God had a lot of information to give. And he said, people that I want to take from the planet, I can't, and they stay here too long. And people that I want to stay on the planet, they're getting killed by Satan because it's Satan's planet. Now they just go back to God. It's, for God, it's just, well, that plan didn't completely work. That's everybody's life generally, but, right. So again, there are, and then there are where there's like, just cop gets called to go down a certain street to harass a person that's on that street. But the cop doesn't know the cop's harassing the person. But in some cases, the cop does. So again, that's why we have investigations. But what they're doing is, what are they doing? They're increasing crime in other locations and pushing the officers over that way. But in some cases, the officers know they're doing that. So that there would be enough crime over here that you can't investigate over there. And again, there'll be like a politician. Nothing will work until he joins the criminal enterprise. And then all of a sudden, he's a great mayor, or a great governor, or she's a great mayor, or she's a great governor. Cops can cause crime everywhere. I'm a very powerful person. I mean, my status is I'm an angel of God. So it's a little more difficult for them to get things done. And most of what I do is investigate them when they try to get me to do something. Or, in other words, I never knew it was all these law enforcement entities. I just knew I thought it was organized crime. But of course, it is organized crime, along with the law enforcement entities. So they probably trashed and shredded every tip I ever made. Or it's actually a lead, because some of it was like a complete case. Isn't that cool? Somebody left a supplement on the ground, I guess. Somebody could take that. What it is. Can't see what it is, and I'm not going to disturb it. No, it's like, it's Mega Men's vitamins. I guess they wouldn't kill somebody if they took one. It's like, I think, a GNC product, right? But they'll say stuff to you in law enforcement. I mean, like, I didn't know because I was asleep. And it's designed to, like, rule you down and do this and do that. And, I was asleep. Because I would have moved. I'd have probably spent like a year in that. I've been like the other guy, Castles. I'd have been out of there. I'd probably spent a year, maybe a year and a half there. And then I would have moved on to another office and did famously well. Actually did famously well there, but they killed me. I'm alive by the grace of God. Literally, I mean, that's what makes them mad. They say it's unfair that I'm still alive because everybody else that they did this to died. They're really like that in their mind. So again, one of what they're trying to do, whether it's metaphysical or physical, and I believe it's partially physical, if they raise the price of my rent, they're blocking my massage therapy because I can't afford it then. And they also, remember, they blocked VA money and other money from increasing. And again, I'm owed millions by the Justice Department owes me millions alone. Every agency that was there owes me millions alone. No, you weren't confused. You knew what you were doing. You're part of a criminal enterprise. There's no doubt in it. But that's what the criminal enterprise does. If somebody goes to say, well, let's pay more or something, get this for it, that person gets executed until they stop. The same way, if you don't raise the rent on your apartments, so the people that aren't raising the rents are probably getting hit pretty hard. But some of them are big people. They're like me, but with money. And that's not really like me, but similar. You know, they have some real value of something. You know, they're real. They're not devils. Here, I guess that's the way to say it. They're not devils, demons, antichrist, which is sorcerers, because people say, well, I have to do it. No, you don't have to do it. And if people didn't have that attitude, it wouldn't even exist. And did at one point at the level that it does. I mean, it was just small time. They made their move in the late 90s, first part of the century, and took over. I don't know Bush, but towards the end of Bush's tenure, he came up as kind of reining it in a little bit. And then they attacked him. Remember, at a certain point, they attacked Bush, and they killed the economy and all that stuff. But I don't know. Regular. Well, because he was part of something. Like, they make it something ludicrous, like, what is it, the Skull and Bone Society? Right. I mean, obviously, they could be part of it, but it's something else. But see, that's the cover story. Oh, yeah, like the Skull and Bones fraternity. Oh, come on. No, like La Cosa Nostra, Gambino, the Cali Cartel. I'm sure some of these bosses in the federal government go back to the Cali Cartel and Pablo Escobar and all that. They're made men in those organizations as cops. They do what the thing says. But again, you know, the new cartels are probably out there. The question is sometimes, and again, you know, it's not complete, so some of those people will get arrested. The question is, are the cartels sacrificing some of them people? I did a minor kind of investigation on that to see what the reaction was to those statements. They don't care. If they got a system where cops look the other way, they'll make a cop famous by saying, "Okay, I'm going to put a load up here. Go get that load," and that'll be your bus for the week. A lot of those people are conscripted. They either drive or they die. So he send the guy they don't like up. Maybe he wants somebody's wife or their daughter. Send them up here with a load, call somebody in DHS, say, okay, it's going to be at this point, coming through, this is the vehicle, or whatever way they message them. Then they take that person out, and the cartel gets the three daughters to put them into sexual slavery. That's the level of it, all of you. That's what's really happening when your cop's corrupt, when your little peon local cop is corrupt, or the state police. And then you get to talk about Spanish people, how screwed up they are in Mexico, right? But you and your cops are part of that system. Can you see? You see the map showing the expansion? They are the axis of evil. X31. AXS. X31's a plate. That's pretty funny. Car started up as I walked past. Okay, look for X plates. There's another X plate. TJ8 X8G. X is on. Well, you know, I'm not going to hide from X just because Elon stole it. If you look at my social media history, I said X first. At least I think I did. I got to find out when Elon said X first. He's obviously in the mind thing with me. There's no doubt, because he ended up effectuating everything I put out there in like 2004. Or tried. But in that time period, everything went evil. So God does not into us escaping the planet. 100%. Or went, well, because I had an up. My life was starting to form, so we were going to, I was going to be like into yoga and all that kind of stuff. Right. And it was going to happen for me. Obviously, I was somewhere for it to happen, and you killed it. Well, you should earn it first. Bullshit, all of you. You all didn't earn a freaking thing. You all stole it. Finders keepers. And keepers go to hell. Well, you at least see it, hopefully. Whew. It's so funny how different coffee tastes from different coffee makers. Like, I swear, some coffee makers, they just do this harsh roast. Right. I mean, the people must use like a teaspoon of coffee to make a cup. It's not really caffeinated that high, but it tastes like, nasty. I mean, some manufacturers, the whole entire line is roasted with a bitter roast. And then when you buy another, you don't notice it until you buy another. Actually, you have to find the brand. Coffee is not what it was. I mean, you used to be able to walk into 8 o'clock coffee and get the freaking best coffee in the world. You walk into, like, in Maryland, what is that place? I don't remember what the shop over there is. But you walk into one of those supermarkets, man, you had like 8 varieties of 8 o'clock coffee. Single origin. Grade A coffee. 100%. Grind it up, make a cup. They still have some of it, but you got to like order it online. Maybe you can get it in Maryland. I don't know. Maybe Maryland still has great coffee. I don't know. Had good beer. No, 8 o'clock coffee, man, was the secret. Was my secret. I couldn't believe it. If you were like most people, I guess a lot of people that were beer aficionados back when, I used to sit there and watch Cops. That was my big me night. I sit there and watch Cops and drink these beers. But most people are also into like coffees, and I was a coffee aficionado, and actually that's where I developed the taste for coffee. I was shopping, and 8 o'clock coffees were like amazing single origin coffees. I don't know if in Maryland you can still get it because that's where they make it. And I don't do too well with it. For a while it was good, but something happened to the quality of coffee on their Colombian Peaks. It was pretty good. For the price, it was amazing. And then all of a sudden it lost everything. So I don't know if they changed their supplier for beans or what. Again, sometimes people raise the price, and the prices on coffee are going up pretty crazy too sometimes. Right. So they had like Tanzanian Peabody, I guess they call it, or something like that, right? Or P something. Malawi, had coffee from like Malawi, I think, and then they had like South American coffees and Malaysian. Their Sumatra was like phenomenal. I have not, I used to be in love with Sumatra. I cannot find a Sumatra even close, not even close to what it used to be. I mean, it could be climate change. I don't know. I remember buying a Sumatra, and it was just like, I don't know. It's just like coffee syrup. It was just had this body that was amazing, and now it's just like I got to find one that isn't burnt first. Like maybe that's the key. They're burning their coffee. I guess if I don't know. I guess if it's bad coffee, you just roast it till it's burnt. Just roast it till it's burnt. But you got some pretty good people around. KC, they have some good coffee people. You just got to, the price is getting a little bit. Right. Since I've gotten here, I think the one went up $1 or something for 12 ounces. Since I've got here, it's ungotten. It's about 7 months, I guess. It's 8 months, something like that. 8 months, I guess. Maybe even 9 months now. Yeah, they even got people in the system because they're reminding me by saying, God's reminding me, let me hear something. They got people in the system that pretend that they're like hoping that I pull through, and they have like every single type of person in there, and they're all working together. Oh, I think Larry's going to make it this time. We'll be able to let him have a life. Like not letting me have a life is an option. It's all bullshit, all of you. If somebody comes along and says, "Here, I got 100,000. You let more. You let more go." They let me go. No, that's what they're trying to reverse it. You got 100,000. You fail more in this investigation. It's yours. Just don't spend in one place. They're looking. The rest of their life, they take a few dollars here, a few dollars there. And so they're the ones that look. Then they work because they're so paranoid. They work for the position of like internal affairs and that kind of stuff. That's why they never leave the government, man. That's why they become like marshals. So they're freaked out. Marshall will never leave because he's freaked out. He's committed so many murders, or at least aided and abetted. We're saving the children. Isn't that great? Well, we murdered pedophiles. That's what we murdered, right? Sounds like a South or Central American drug gang with the cops that work for them, right? We'll just call everybody a pedophile or rapist that we don't like, and everything we do is above board. But again, pedophiles and rapists don't exist without them, even internally. They're the metaphysical will for it to exist. And of course, some of them are that anyway. Well, there's, I don't buy into all of it, but Trump obviously raped quite a few women. And he definitely date raped. 100%. The question is, is he a pedophile of any proportion? Did he know pedophilia was going on? Probably. Traffic seems pretty light today. Oh, it's later in the day. Yeah, it was actually cool this morning. I'm like, ooh, I don't feel like walking. It's too cold. I let the sun get up a little bit more in the sky. So again, the weather report looks scammy. I'm not sure what it is completely, but they may be scamming global warming because it'll tell you, well, again, I guess the end result would be what it is. But they'll tell you that it's going to go down to 63. Then you wake up, it's 58. Now, which one goes in the record books? Or the data books? And then one saying it's going to be 107, and then 99, and it's actually 98. 100%. So again, I don't think the data is correct. I don't know what data you're using, and if you've checked to make sure that it's real data. Right. What you do is, to start it, is you look at what we're using to record global warming. Then you go to all the other weather services and see what's going on and figure it out. Again, there could be a psychological thing going on, which means the recorded data might be correct. Now, for some reason, they went back and had to redo all the data for 12 years. in like 2020 or 2021, something like that. And we actually came out ahead, which means our greenhouse emissions were lower. So again, just say, we're making money! Climate science, yeah! Not doing anything else. Now, I do admit, cleaner air is better, but that's something completely different. Well, because if you can't fix the planet heating, everybody should know, or getting hotter, everybody should know that, well, then we should be planning for biospheres. That's another thing I put out there in 2004, that we need to look into biospheres, like major biospheres. So again, Saudi probably received that. If not, taking it directly from my internet. Okay. Well, because that money needs to go into biospheres, not your bank account, for fake climate science. I mean, I don't see it fixing. And the data is showing that you are reducing greenhouse gases. So we have to say, wait a minute, maybe this isn't the answer. I'm not denying it's getting hotter. I'm denying that you're fixing anything, because that's the evidence. But you're getting richer. I understand that. You're not going to be here when it all fails. Thank you, Larry. So again, that's reality. Unspit on. Just past the 52 point. Yeah, they're in Naples. They survived the kill off. They're rich. They got big places, but they can't go to the beach. And if they do, they risk their lives. It's swim in some fecal matter. You want to beat shit, you'll get shit. You want to act like shit, you'll get shit. There's a lot of other things wrong with Florida. Florida is a third world country when it comes to propaganda. That's why DeSantis does so well. It's just they're full of shit. They're absolutely full of shit. There are ambulance drivers that say if a certain disease such as West Nile come up, I don't know if they're still doing it, but they won't allow that West Nile into Naples hospital system because it's not going to be carried as Naples. They're going to take them over to Fort Myers and carry it as a Fort Myers disease. Now, Fort Myers is up, so I don't know what that battle is now. Maybe they don't tell anybody. They call it something else. If a person has West Nile, you will not be transporting them to anywhere in Collier County. They have to go over to Lee County because that's where they're going to carry it in the statistics. See, that's where that got you. Got you fecal matter in your water and bacteria that'll remove a limb or kill a person. That's not happening either, right? Everybody's happy in their own private personal pool. They'll give you money for a pool. Just don't say anything. So again, I'll break it down a little bit for you. If you have 5 people around a single person willing that person to be a pedophile, that person has to fight pedophilia. Not because they're a pedophile or they're weak. It's because the other people are pedophile and are weak. If you're causing people to be pedophiles, don't tell me you're protecting children. There is no system in the world where 5 people can attack somebody to be a pedophile and that it doesn't have any effect. What some of them are is Christian. Well, if they were with God, they wouldn't be pedophiles. But yet then why do you increase the force and this isolation and a sexualization when God shows you that God did protect somebody? It's worse than fraud. That's the epitome of evil. Evil is not honest. Well, the question is, why was a person dishonest? What do we actually know? See, it's a scam. They're mob bosses. But they're at the level of Idi Amin. They know how it works, all of you. They've seen it their whole life. They were even in high school and junior high. And something beeped it, too. That's funny. But junior high and high school, they were doing it to their classmates, some of them. In fact, if you look at my case, I guarantee you'll find people from my childhood that I didn't even know were doing anything. Not close friends or anything like that, although there may be some people that I had to turn into the police. That might be part of it. A lot of pizza eating going on around here. There's something here like willing people to eat pizza. Maybe because we're like poor and it's just like poor people are getting hit with something. Like the pizza people got rich. Oh, that's why I wanted to speak about something else. Okay, Bud Light, what may have happened. Okay, now the train honked along with it, so it's probably true. But I'm not going to say it's 100% true, but it probably is. Okay, what's the real reason that Bud Light had issue? Because none of it really makes sense when you look at it. Of course, the Republicans canceled them. Right. But the Republicans are part of their same system, actually. At least were. And, of course, now a Spanish beer owns the country. Or Mexican beer. So there's probably some connection. They may actually be working for the Mexicans, in reality. You just have to, like, there's a politic front. It's not politics. It's a cover story for Criminal Enterprise. It was a politic front for everything. And they agree to just be the political thing and make money based upon it as another kind of grifter fraud. 100%. Because Bud Light willed people to drink alcohol beyond a certain point, and they created alcoholics. In other words, you're allowed, and not even willing it, but you're allowed to run a business and want it to do well. You know, again, you should give it to God. And again, I guess the point that God's trying to put through here is that even if you were evil and willed people to drink recreationally, it would be, they'd be okay, right? But they were to the point that they didn't care if you became an alcoholic because it was more money for them. So Anheuser-Busch actually used evil magic to cause alcoholics. And that's what happened. So that came up this morning, and I'm sure it'll open up some more. So what happens is there's a correction in the system, and anybody that's causing these alcoholics is having a little bit of trouble. Now, they may have received information to cease using that kind of force inside and never stopped. I can't tell you whether that happened or not at this point. So Anheuser-Busch created so many alcoholics that it was finally ruled for it. That's the real rule. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.